I'm so excited to hear from Nicola Lipscombe. With great pride, I'm going to welcome her to this in a second. Nicola's part of a global revolution that puts humans first, led by the awesome Mike Vacanti, and I would definitely recommend to look him up. Nicola really values putting values the heart at the heart of people, a passion we share in inspiring workplaces. Her background as a pharmacist and an academic gives Nicola a unique ability to bring rigorous science evidence to play. Her own life experiences actually had her ending up on an operating table a few years ago, and has made her to really think about going down a path of consciously embracing a heart-centered way of being. And she's here to talk to us about and teach us how to bring that insight into our leadership. So if this works, I should be saying hello, Nicola. How are you?
Good morning, Matt. I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good
and
morning.
Thrilled to be here.
I feel like David Frost. And we're thrilled to have you. Without further ado, I'm going to leave you and to let you to teach us about what you're going to teach us about.
Thank you so much. What I wanted to talk about today was intuition. Intuition is a profound gift that we all have access to. People use it in business, people use it in the workplaces, but it's not often spoken about. It's pushed down a little bit. Whereas personally, I believe that intuition is the highest form of human knowing and of intelligence that we have access to. And I want to bring it out a little bit more into the light. When we lead from a place of deep inner knowing and wisdom, it actually allows us to lead with far greater authenticity, with deep integrity, with extreme dignity. And in fact, following that inner knowing illuminates a path forward for us, which allows us to be in total alignment with our highest truth, with our highest self, and for the highest good. Following intuition embraces the highest good for ourselves and also for others. When we look at probably the most commonly used contemporary definition of intuition by Damon Pratt, it is that intuitions are the affectively charged judgments that arise through rapid, non-conscious and holistic associations. I prefer insight from the inside. And when we look at the Latin root of the word intuition, it actually means to look, regard, know from within. So intuition comes from within. How do we access it? What is the portal or the opening? Well, the doorway, that portal, that opening to intuition probably won't surprise you, but it lies in the center of your chest and in the center of my chest. The heart is the portal to that deeper, intuitive superpower, actually, that we have access to. And we do have the ability to be able to cultivate intuition, to be able to feel, sense, hear the signals, and to be discerning about whether that actually is a true intuitive nudge or just fear that is kicking in. Now, I'm not the only one who uses intuition, that's cultivated and uses it in my life and in my business. I'm in good company. I'm actually in very good company. Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, authors Dean Koontz, Elizabeth Gilbert, people like actors Alan Alda. All of these people have in common that they cite intuition as being a huge part of their success, giving them creative ideas, inspiration, insights, opportunities, synchronicities that have allowed them to follow their path and their truth, but in truth has led to their success. And Albert Einstein in particular intrigues me, the physicist, because he actually credits intuition as being hugely important in a lot of his scientific discoveries, though he also acknowledges that society didn't really value it. He's got a brilliant quote that says that our intuitive mind is a sacred gift and our rational mind is a faithful servant. Yet we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. And I truly believe that we need to remember that gift, that it is imperative that we all learn to tap into that inner deeper knowing that we all have access to. It's always been imperative, but I believe the times that we are in now have amplified that, made it so much more of an imperative. We're in what's known as the fourth industrial revolution. Started 2014, 2016, the age of blurring digital technology and physiology. We have digital technology, nanotechnology, biotechnology. We're building robots, cobots. We're living with augmented reality, augmented humans, that real blurring of lines between physiology and technology is creating complex situations that we need to address and answers that we need to find, very much around morals and ethics as well, just to name one. Along with that, along with the fourth industrial revolution, within the last year globally, it has been a year of incredible uncertainty, incredible change, volatility, crises, fear. So we're in a melting pot of big data, big change, big uncertainty. We're dealing with such complex challenges that are coming at us at such a rapid rate. Our logical mind can't deal with it. It doesn't have the capacity with that level of input, complexity, and speed. We need access to a deeper and a different way of knowing. And I think we have access to a human superpower, which is the ability to know when something is right without necessarily knowing exactly why. Because intuition bypasses the logical mind. It bypasses that conscious rational thinking, and it bypasses the ego, very important. It arises quite spontaneously, and it doesn't arrive in a lovely 3 bullet point memo. It tends to whisper. It tends to be a felt sense. And yes, depending on how your intuition will talk to you, some people hear or see words, flashes, images, but there's a felt sense that goes with it. Now, a caveat here, I'm not saying that we totally dismiss the cognitive rational thinking mind. We need both. What I'm suggesting is a repositioning of the power, that position and point of power from our head down to our hearts, a repositioning there. And that's the way that I lead my life now, where I lead from the heart. I follow those hunches and those intuitions, whether it is a business opportunity, a person, a new program that comes to me, then I draw on my strategic mind for the how. And I have to say, truth be known, this is not the way that I've always operated. It has only been in the last 10 years and more so in the last 5, because as Matt said, I started my life as a pharmacist. I then moved into pharmaceutical sales, working for 2 multinational pharmaceutical companies, climbing that corporate ladder. And I then moved into the academic world of higher education at Griffith University on the Gold Coast. And I was an academic for nearly 10 years. So I lived from the head up. I lived in an intellectual, academic, scientific model of the world until my world came crashing down. And today is the 20th of January, 2021. 10 years ago to this day, on the 20th of January, 2011, I found myself on an operating table, having my rib cage cracked open and having a tumor about the size of a grapefruit, removed from my chest that had been growing. It was attached to my lung, it was attached to my thymus gland, it was attached to my heart. So I've had my thymus gland removed, I've had part of my lung removed, and I have a patch on the pericardium of my heart. So yes, I'm a member of the Zipper Club. I've got a 17 centimetre scar, goes from my mole here right down to my belly. As you can imagine, that was a huge crucible moment for me. And today in particular is an anniversary day for me. It's a day in which I remember that I'm alive. It really is a special day for me today. And I'm going to be celebrating tonight. The 20th of January 2011 was a major turning point. Spoiler alert, I am fine, perfectly healthy and happy these days. But back then, not so much. I was following a path that was expected of me, the traditional pathways of success. And I was navigating roles that had been kind of pushed onto me. I was feeling like I was being pushed into a box. And 2 weeks before that operation, I was busy working away at work, at my desk, and I had a cough. It was really irritating. It was really annoying. And I went to see the local campus GP, Dr. Wendy Smith, who I'm forever grateful for. I just wanted antibiotics. I was a good pharmacist, basically writing, just give me these. But she didn't. And I came into her office the next day and we looked at an x-ray that she threw up and we saw this 12 centimetre by 9 centimetre mass that was sitting in the middle of my chest, knowing that that had to come out. 20th of January, I'm on the operating table. So those 2 weeks prior to then and for the 3 months after for recovery, I had a lot of time to really sit and think about what mattered to me and how I wanted to live my life. And it really came down more to who I wanted to be and how I wanted to be, not so much the what. But I wanted to be able to be far more authentically aligned with what mattered and with my heart and connect back into that truth and that inner knowing and live from there. So I really launched on what I call the quest of the heart, going on my own inner and outer journey. And along the way, I became so enamored and intrigued with the heart. It is a fascinating organ and so much more than an organ that pumps blood around our body. And the more I started to tune in and listen to my heart and start to discern those messages, the happier that I became, the more balanced I became, the more connected I became, the more present I became. It actually changed the nature of my relationships. My connection with others completely shifted. And then I started to use it in my business. So in the last 5 years, that is how I operate my business. My business plan predominantly is follow your heart and wrap strategy and marketing around that. And I do have a successful heart-based business. Along the way, I've learnt a lot, and I've learnt a lot about the heart. It is so much more than a pump that we often believe it is, and that I was taught when I went through pharmacy school. The heart has its own brain. It has what we call a cardiac brain, an intrinsic nervous system that lies within the heart, 40,000 sensory neurites, and it can operate as a brain independently of the cranial brain. Our heart sends more information to the brain than the other way around. It has the capacity to learn. It has a short-term and long-term memory. It can process. It can make decisions. It can sense. So when we talk about following our heart or listening to our heart, in part, we are also talking about accessing another neural circuitry that is located within the heart. The heart is also a energetic organ. It generates electricity, and moving electricity generates magnetism. So the heart generates an electromagnetic field, which we can measure meters outside our body with sensitive magnets. And that is one of the things that as people we can pick up on, that electromagnetic field, that vibe that we generate as a human being. And the people that are very energetically sensitive can pick up on that. And I'm not sure if people are familiar with work from the Heart Math Institute. They've been studying the heart for over 30 years and writing scientific papers on it. And one of the things that they have been studying in particular is a concept called heart coherence. When the pattern of our heart rhythm falls into a sine wave, into a very coherent, smooth rhythm. And that state of coherence creates physiological coherence within our body. It is an optimal state of functioning and of well-being. And what they've discovered is our emotions affect that. When we have frustration, anxiety, it changes our heart rate pattern to be quite incoherent and jagged. And that actually sends messages to the brain, which tend to shut down the thinking brain and the cortical function. The opposite occurs when we generate positive, uplifting emotions like love, appreciation, gratitude. Actually opens up pathways in the brain. It activates our prefrontal cortex. And interestingly, because my background also is in positive psychology, the research done by Barbara Fredrickson and her broaden and build theory also align with this. The broaden and build theory is positive emotions open up greater perceptual awareness and cognitive thinking. We generate positive emotions from the heart. It is so much more powerful and intriguing than most of us give it credit for. And it is the portal and opening to our intuition. And there's 3 types of intuition that I want to share with you today. And our heart gives us greater access to all 3. The first one is implicit knowledge, which is when we have an insight that comes forward from our unconscious. We've all had that experience where we're wrestling with a problem. We just can't get the solution. We let it go. We go for a walk. We have a shower. Suddenly, the insight drops when we're in the shower. The solution comes to us. But it is tapping into knowledge that we have. It might be drawing knowledge and experiences from different parts of our lives and connecting them in a way which now creates a unique solution. But all that information already lies within us. It's bringing it forward, implicit knowledge. And the second one is our energetic sense, our energetic sensitivity. When we feel the vibe from somebody, you may be interviewing somebody for a position. On paper, they're brilliant. They present very professionally. They talk very well. All their references are glowing. And yet there is something in you that is telling you no, 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 no. And that is your intuition. That is your vibe. You are sensing something from that person. And if you're a heart-wise leader, you follow that insight and you don't employ that person. And if you're not, you do. And what you often find is disaster follows. We have that energetic sensitivity and we can cultivate it. Some people have it more naturally. And the third type of intuition, which is more controversial, is the non-local intuition. It's that precognition. It's knowing that something is about to happen. It's the mother that knows that something terrible is going to happen to their son or daughter that lives far away from them, and then they find out that they've had an accident. It's the precognition of people who are about to board a plane and then go, no, they just don't, and that's the plane that goes down. And the Heart Math Institute as well has studied non-local intuition as well. But the heart enables us to access all 3 types of intuition. We need to be able to cultivate particular states and to be able to anchor ourselves in our hearts to really unleash that insight from the inside. We need to embrace states of humility, of self-trust, and of stillness. We need humility. We need to understand that we do not know everything and that there are things beyond our conscious awareness and understanding that exist. And just because we can't see, hear, or consciously, logically know them doesn't mean that they don't exist. If we embrace a state of humility, we're far more open. And we also need to have trust in ourselves. There is no point in having intuition if you're going to dismiss those signals and ignore them. So we need that level of self-trust that those signals that we're receiving are real and that they are valid. And we need to chase stillness. We need to cultivate spaces and places of stillness to be able to go within, to be able to actually hear that still small voice within. And the key practice for being able to activate our intuitive intelligence is to anchor ourselves within our hearts. So the practice is anchoring within the center of our chest through breath, breathing in, through imagination, imagining ourselves residing in the center of our chest, and even through gentle touch. Just reminding ourselves to bring our attention and awareness down, anchoring into that space, generating a positive emotion to create that heart coherent state. So generating feelings of love, compassion, appreciation. I use awe as often the gateway. And then to be open and listen, to feel the feels, as we would say. So the human heart is the seat of our truest, deepest, highest self. And it is also the portal to our deepest and unlimited source of wisdom. I believe the time has come that it is imperative that we honor our intuition as the sacred gift that it is, that we become truly heart-wise leaders, that we value and unleash our insights from the inside to change the world of work and to make an inspiring workplace and an inspiring planet on which we can all thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, there's a bit of an echo there. I think that's okay now. Thank you very much, Nicola. So much to take in. Firstly, let's celebrate 10 years ago today. I'm very happy that that went well and you're here sharing that knowledge with us and to be an inspiration.
Thank you.
And following what your passion is, and let's celebrate that. Also, it's another good anniversary. I think in another 10 years for what's about to happen today somewhere else in the world. I think we can all celebrate that too, but I'm not going to go there too much. The Zipper Club, something I've learned. Something I've learned. And I love the reason, one of the great reasons and honors it is to have you talk is to give us another perspective and to think about how we can approach our lives and work in a different way. A couple of questions really. How can somebody practically go and try and bring this into their workplace? Is it something they do for self and then become a better leader at work, or can they go, let's go look at the Heart Map Institute, look at HeartWise? How can somebody try and bring this into the workplace practically?
Like a lot of things, it starts with yourself to build your own intuition. But as far as the workplace goes, it needs to be more in the light. So we know a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs, Richard Branson comes to mind, is on record as saying is that he trusts his intuition, and that's how a lot of his decisions are made. And he will talk about that. So one of the things that we need to do is not be afraid or ashamed of talking about using our intuition and using that language within the workplace.
Yeah.
Within teams. So saying, look, I'm getting a feeling about this. My intuition is saying that perhaps we should go down this path. Is that something that we can look at? And then we can always use strategy and logic, but we can use them both together. And the HMI, the Heart Math Institute, is a great gateway to give people some information and some understanding because there's scientific evidence that has been, published around intuition. Forbes has published articles about how some of the greatest intellectual discoveries actually have used intuition to be able to get there. So yes, starting within, trusting it yourself, verbalizing it more in the workplace, and the HMI.
So it is like almost boiling back down to the empowerment piece and making people psychologically safe at work to bring their true selves and their intuition to then say, how about this? I have a feeling, and then to explore it. Okay.
And then asking people, you can ask, once it becomes more of the vernacular, to go, all right, we've collected all this market research or data, and we've got sort of 3 pathways to go down before we start doing our SWOT analysis or our, sort of more logically looking at which path. You can go around a team and go, what is your spontaneous intuition lead you towards?
Yeah.
And see, and when you start to gather information like that, it reinforces, because then when you've actually gone down a particular path and you've had success, people then go, that's the path that I chose. Wow, I just had, you start to reinforce the power inherent.
I wish my grandma wanted me to be a doctor. Like, I got a doctor's plate when I was a child and everything, but I was the least scientific person in the world. My brother went on to be the doctor. I found it so interesting around that the heart has memory and the neurological stuff that is there. Is that some of the cranial nerves go into the heart? Is that one of the reasons why? Okay.
We've got the vagus nerve is the major pathway for the neural activity, but the heart can operate independently.
Right. Wow.
So your brain can't function without the heart, but your heart functions without the brain. So people can be, essentially brain dead and they're still alive. The heart still pumps independently. It makes its own decisions.
I think we'd love to have a follow-up story, I think, from you on our blog on this as well. And one challenge I'm going to throw at you is, can intuition lead to unconscious bias? So you hire in your image, because when you were talking through the 3 types of intuition, that was one of the question marks that came up in my head was, your gut feeling, I get a good sense about this person. Could that become unconscious bias where you hire in your own image, or is it something totally different?
That's a really interesting question. If you are only using, I would say, that implicit knowledge, then I think that's a possibility.
Okay.
But, if like me, you believe that we're all connected and we're connected to something bigger than ourselves, if you want to call it a universal level of consciousness and wisdom, when we are accessing intuition through that pathway, it is always for the highest good. It will not be because it's something that pleases us,
right,
or suits us. It'll always true intuition in that sense will always be for the highest good. It can even piss us off, but it will be it's for the highest truth and the highest good always.
Because one of my favorite slogans inside the workplace comes from HP, and it's growth through diversity, and diversity of ideas. So I'm always starting to think of diversity of intuition, and that. So I really, you've sparked lots of creativity in my mind now. It's going to get me through till 6 a.m. I'm absolutely positive of that. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we? We've gone through our first hour of 24, so that's something to make a milestone of. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Nicola?
I think just a little practical thing for people is to start small. So when we're practicing anchoring into our heart and seeing, what's our intuition telling us, we can actually, start small with, let's go for a walk with no direction. And I'm just, where do I kind of feel like going? What do I feel like eating? And trusting those little messages. Who do I feel like, say, if you're doing sort of marketing, for example, and you've got 100 cold calls, instead of going A to Z, go, who do I sort of feel like, and just play and practice with it, and then take note of the results of success.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I'm known from my wife and I, we go for walks, and I usually do, let's just go this way, and it doesn't always end very well. So I don't think she'll let me do that one, but I'll try another one of the suggestions instead. Thank you so much, Nicola. I hope you have a fantastic day. Maybe you can see us at the end, because you'll be awake again. It'll be a brand new day, and you can see us finish off in America. But thank you so much. Everybody say thanks to Nicola, and I will see you very soon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Matt, and everybody have a fabulous Inspirathon. I'll be staying on board and kicking in and looking at what I can, watching what I can as well.
Thanks so much. Take care.